Welcome back to CM Fab. I'm Chris. This is my K-Swap 1981 Toyota pickup. This week, we mount our transmission so we can clean up this oil spill. Thanks for watching. All right, like I said in the intro, we're going to go ahead and build this trans mount here. You can see these rubber mounts sit a little bit below the frame rail, or the, secondary frame rail, whatever you want to call it, transmission crossmember. So I'm going to build a plate that goes from this tube underneath both mounts and then over to this tube. Hopefully I don't have to build it in two sections. I just want to capture it all in kind of one strap. That way I don't have to do it like I did the mounts and build one on each side of the transmission. It does stick a little bit below the frame, more than I wanted it to, but it won't be too bad. The front cross member is the lowest point still. It does look off center, but it is not. The mounts are, but the actual output shaft lines up straight with the rear diff, so at least hopefully it does. I took a lot of time to measure and make sure it does, but my math ain't the best. So anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling and start making a template. And then all right, so I got my first template here made. This is going to be the strap that captures both of the rubber mounts. I will build a little piece on the back just to box it in a little bit. However, it's not going to be as boxed as the fronts. So I'm going to build it out of a little bit thicker metal. As you can see, I was able to capture both rubber mounts. I did have to notch out a little bit for the transmission itself, and then it'll tie into the bottom of each tube. It is going to be welded to these tubes. And then I'm going to have the whole assembly on either side. There's 4 corners here. I'll have that bolt in so that I can still remove everything kind of easily. Also, there's bolts on top you can see there, and then there's bolts underneath. So the transmission can still go out forward. right, so the trans mount is now made in steel. It wasn't too hard to make, as you saw in the time lapse. To prevent myself from going back and forth between the truck and the table or the bench as much as possible, I ended up making this little kind of template out of TIG wire just so that I can get close to the angle of the bends that I would need for mounting up to the rubber bushings themselves. And then I had to end up adding this little bit of a bend on the end just because I couldn't quite get it out of two bends. One of them would have been off just a little bit, and I'd rather have the rubber sitting flush than have just the two bends because there's not really a reason not to. Next step, I'm going to box in at least the back side of this as much as possible, and I think I can get away with two small plates in the front just to add a little bit more strength similar to the engine mounts, and then that should be it. I don't think there's too much more to this mount. It's pretty simple. So I didn't really explain what I was doing, but I guess you guys kind of got the grasp of it from the time lapse. I was boxing in my transmission mount here. I didn't really explain it too well just because it was raining, and as relaxing as rain on a metal roof can be, I'm not a very loud talker, so it would have been hard for me to talk over that noise. Anyways, I used the mount itself as a template to get my edge here, and same on the top just so it's kind of symmetrical. I just traced it out on some ram board, cut it out of steel, drilled some super sweet speed holes here for absolutely no reason other than I just didn't want it to look like a giant block of cheese or something, even though it might look more like Swiss cheese now. So I'm glad I'm thinking of that now. Anyways, next step is going to be tacking this into those two tubes that are already on the truck. I'm pointing and you guys can't see that, so I'll walk over there. Hopefully this isn't still super duper hot. So you can see what I was talking about a little bit better here now that it's bolted in. I'm just going to tack it again so it holds the weight of the transmission. That way I can get this jack out of here and then move the truck and clean up this giant oil spill. See, it wraps around the tube there and over here. The front side of the mount up here, I'm going to also add a gusset or a boxing plate, but I'm going to do that once the transmission's out of here and I have a little bit more room to work in, and I won't be working in oil. Again, this whole tubing structure is going to be removable. You can see here where it meets, same on the other side over here. It's not fully welded in. That's because I want to add something similar to the front over here that I did for the motor mounts so that I can unbolt this whole piece instead of trying to squeeze the transmission out through the two tubes. All right, everyone, that is going to do it for this week. We got our transmission, wherever that is right here. We got our transmission mount made finally, so I can move the truck around under its own weight with the engine installed. I don't have to pull that out every time I want to move the truck around. So we can finally clean underneath it. That oil spill has been there since I started the YouTube channel, so a couple months. Anyways, finally got it in. Next week, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing on this thing. I want to get ready for building a turbo manifold, so maybe I'll figure out what's going on in the front end here. There's a lot of room there to put stuff, so we'll try and decide where we're going to put stuff. Before I start rambling, please do all the YouTube-y things like comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future stuff or just how I film or talk, please leave that in a comment down below as well. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. We're gonna see how many times it takes to get this right. Anyways, you can see, shoot, no, you can't see. I feel like I probably should have clamped this down. Too late now. Oh, shoo, that's hot. Just so you guys are aware, I didn't clean up this oil spill in this episode.